Hello, my name is 𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏𝒂𝒏 and I'm from Okakarara, Ombora. And yeah, I just finished my honours in journalism at Stellenbosch University last year, and I'm excited to talk about the journey. Okay, so funny enough, I'm a heavy churchgoer, and so at my church, the Deeper Fellowship Church, in 2024, we had a 𝒂𝒐 conference in July. And through this conference, obviously I'm serving, I'm up and down, and then I just heard a voice say, I'm going to go to Stellenbosch next year. And I wrote it down in my notes app. I didn't think much about it because, again, it was like a very intense evening. I'm up and down. And then come end of July, come August. Now, the applications closed end of August, right? But then somewhere in August, I had forgotten about the notes app and the little whisper. And then I was like browsing. I was thinking like, oh, so where do I apply to? Because I'm done this year at NAST. And what am I doing next year? And then I just stumbled upon the Stellenbosch website. I started my application. I didn't tell anybody that I'm applying, not even my parents, that I'm applying. I did the whole thing myself, figured out the website myself, paid for it myself. And then when I got accepted, I was like, okay, this is insane. And then at the same time, I found the notes app again, like the little notes that I made. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a God-given moment. So I always say that me applying to Stellenbosch was an act of obedience to God. And it was, fun fact, it was the only school that I applied to, because I was like, I'm not going to go back to NAST. I'm not going to go back to UNAM. So where do I go? And Stellenbosch was the only option for me at the time. It was the only one on my mind. And I was like, if not Stellenbosch, I'm taking a gap year. But it's the only one that I'm applying to. And I got in. And then I told my parents that, okay, listen, guys, I'm in. We have to start a visa. And so they came on board, thank God. And yeah, then I went. And the experience was amazing. I mean, I had a great group of friends. We did everything together. We helped each other. We say we shared the trauma, because an honours year is very difficult, and doing it abroad for me, was like another layer of difficulty. But also, it's not my first time studying abroad, so I feel like I was already used to being away from home. And so there was that. But also, in terms of the schoolwork, for example, we had like 24-year modules. It's like, how do you handle that? How do you? And then you have to have exams, and you have your research, and you have your regular assignments. It was intense. We barely slept. I was always sleeping in the department. I would sunrise there, go home to shower, go back to school, because we had a lot of schoolwork to complete. And yeah, it was a very heavy year, but here we are. We have overcome. So in terms of the university aspect of the two differences, schooling in Namibia and schooling in South Africa, I would say that from my experience, the lecturers in SA are more willing to help. And we all know the admin at UNAM and NAST. It needs a little bit of improvement. And so I would say that it was much better getting in touch with your lecturers, having help, extra hours of something, them explaining something to you after the lecture. It was much easier there. Even in terms of other lecturers in other departments, because again, we are journalism students, we need to write articles, we need sources. And so even if I could email a lecturer of PhD students in engineering, he would respond within an hour with answers to my questions. Whereas at NAST or UNAM, you kind of have to go knocking, and sometimes they aren't even there, or they just don't have time to help. And so for me, it was, in terms of the admin side, it was much easier. Even when you're applying for university, like they will respond to you. Even if, for example, you email this other offers for this thing, they'll be like, okay, so we don't handle that, but I'm CCing someone who does handle that, and they can take it through with you. So for me, it was like a much smoother. It's like they want to help students, you know. And then in terms of the workload itself, again, maybe because it's an honours year, I have never experienced an honours year in Namibia. And so I would say that the schoolwork itself was very heavy. At NAST, it was a breeze. I was passing at NAST. I feel like I didn't put much effort in there. I was always getting those merit awards. And so NAST was easier, I would say. But again, it's a bachelor's versus honours, so it's not really a fair comparison. But yeah, and then in terms of like life in general, I feel like it's the same. The cost of living is the same. Okay, well, except the public transport, because there aren't really cabs in Stellenbosch. You can call an Uber or you can walk. And so I live close to campus, and so I would just like a 3-minute walk from my department. So that was great. And yeah, other than that, it's pretty much the same. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So the most challenging project that I've handled on my own was our in-depth project. And so in our research module, because we have a core module, then we have like sub-modules. And so that research module, we had the research itself, where you do your research proposal and everything. Then we have the in-depth, where it's like a practical research. And so I did my proposal. That was great. That was, again, if you know research, you know how difficult it is, but it's fine. And then the in-depth though, this one, it's like that thing that hangs over your head the entire year, because you know this thing is due on the 17th of November. And when you are in March, 17th November looks far, but the amount of work that you have to do up until that day is insane. I reached out, so my project was on period poverty, menstruation, and I covered period poverty in sport, period poverty as a whole in institutions and schools. And then I also looked at the illnesses that are linked to menstruation, such as PCOS, endometriosis, infertilities, for example. I did everything that you could think of when it comes to menstruation. And I also covered it because I feel like we don't really have a lot of studies on it. And so even that was like heavy itself. I had to reach out to organizations and people and ministries, both in SA and in Namibia. And my sources were like worldwide, because it's a worldwide issue. Everyone has, not everyone, a lot of women are going through issues with their menstruation. And so my sources were people in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Kenya, Uganda, I feel like it was such a global, and then also like I got sources from Instagram and Twitter and everywhere that you can think of. I would reach out to people and just ask them questions, and even reading old journals, talking to professors from other universities, just to try and understand and get, just have a well-rounded story. And so doing this alone was difficult. Doing it while you are handling every other thing in yours, because again, you aren't just handling this research project, you are also having your day-to-day modules, your assignments, your exams, everything else, And so that's why I'm saying that when you are in March or July or whatever, November seems far, but I finished that thing maybe like right on the deadline at 4 p.m. because it's a lot of work. And also you have to do documentaries, you have to do a podcast beyond writing your articles. You have to take pictures, your own pictures, And so even when I came home for the holiday in July, I was also up and about, because it's like, okay, I'm in Namibia. Let me go see this person. Let me go take a picture of that. So that I was like using my time to the fullest extent. Because again, you don't have time. You don't have time when you're busy with school. So yeah. I took it because, I did like a poll on TikTok where I was like, are there any Hereros on campus? Because at the time, I wasn't really homesick, but my soul was craving to speak Herero to a person and another person on campus, to meet up with them, to laugh, to make jokes in my language, in our language. And only one person responded. And I was like, are there no Hereros here? Like, what is, and so that already was like a new thing for me. Like, okay, we aren't a lot here, And when I was obviously, I remember for me, I kind of have inside jokes with God. And so one time when school was so hectic, I was like, okay, God, if you help me pass, I'm gonna wear a Herero attire for my graduation. And that was like something that I wrote down, and then I just tucked it away, and then I moved on. And so this year, when me and my parents, when we were organizing or like trying to go for fittings and stuff with dresses, every dress that I tried on just did not make sense. Like, gorgeous dresses and everything, but I'm just like, it's not it, And then I was like, hey man, I can actually make a Herero dress. And so we went for that, and after fitting it, I was like, this is what I want to wear. This is what I want to carry. I want to carry my culture, my identity, because again, I'm so ingrained in my culture. I just love it so much. And so just carrying that felt like I'm representing myself, but also it's like I'm opening a door, because I feel like people view Stellenbosch as that unattainable institution, that unreachable place. And I'm just like, my thought was, or my intention was, people to see a Herero girl graduating so that they can know that, hey, listen, I'm a Herero as well. Maybe I can apply to there and I can also graduate from there, you know. So all in all, I was just like, let me just represent, let me just carry my culture. And I felt so proud because again, people in South Africa didn't know. Like they were asking me, which culture, where are you from? Which country are you from? And it's like, they don't know our cultures. They don't know, they know Namibia, but they don't know the cultures that we have. They don't know how beautiful we can actually be in our traditional dresses and stuff. And so I just felt like all of these reasons were just, it just made sense for me to wear my culture, to represent my culture, to represent my people, and to inspire more to, let's overtake Stellenbosch. So, yeah. There are a lot of people who wear their cultural outfits, a lot of Zulu and Xhosa, and they look great with their jewels and everything. And again, those are South African cultures. You don't really see a lot of international cultures represented on graduation day. And also, like I worked at the school last year in November when they were graduating, no, December when they were graduating. And I only saw one other Herero girl who had a red Herero dress. And this is like out of all ceremonies, I think there were like 13 ceremonies. Out of all 13, one Herero girl, which for me is like one international culture being represented. And so even this year, when you're on social media, when you're watching the live streams of the school, it's like, yes, you do see their cultural attire, but you don't really recognize a Congolese attire or a Ghanaian attire, or you don't recognize those things, you know? And so I feel like people do want to represent their cultures, and yeah, just let it be seen. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh. I felt like the main character because again, like I said, people were asking me, like even as we arrived at the center, at the Gutenberg Center, where we hold the graduations, when I arrived there, like the white people are like, oh my gosh, you look gorgeous, where are you from? It's like all of that, all of those compliments kind of make you look like, you know what, I have arrived. And so on the day of, I felt untouchable. I was like, all eyes are on me. Even when you're standing there in line waiting for your name to be read, the way the delegation, what do you call it? The people who are sitting there, the way they're looking at you, it's like, wow, you know? And so for me, I'm like, yeah, I am here. I have arrived and all eyes are on me. And so I felt like a princess walking across the stage, and it was my moment and I love it and I would do it again. For my next degree, wherever I do it at, I will wear my culture because again, it's me. I feel like there's no other dress that could represent who Uendjii is. So I chose journalism because I grew up, I'm that person who at the farm, at the village, I'm taking a book with, I'm taking paper and pen. I want to read, I want to write everything. I'm that person who talks a lot. I just love stories. I just love engaging, talking to people, asking questions. There have been so many times when I've spoken to people and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, nothing, I'm just asking questions. And so it's like, you know what, let me ask questions for a living, you know? And so I chose journalism because actually I did my first 2 years at UNAM in microbiome. And during these 2 years, I was working with the digital magazine called After Break magazine. And I just could see that I'm putting in more effort into the magazine because I love writing than I am with the labs and the research and the elements and all those things of mixing chemicals and stuff. And so I was like, you know what, let me just do what I actually love and not what I thought I loved coming from grade 12. And so I changed courses. I applied to NUST from UNAM. And yeah, and then like even being there and how I excelled was another confirmation that this is where I belong, you know? So yeah, it always made sense for me. Journalism has always been, it has always been that constant in my life, you know. It's the reading, the writing, the investigating, the research, the talking to people, networking, engaging, finding out more information, spreading stories, awareness. Yeah, it just made sense for me to go into journalism. So, oh my gosh, a story that I want to focus on. If I could, I feel like we do have people touching on it, but you can count on one hand. If I could, I would love to carry on my research of menstruation, of period poverty, because I really feel like it's understudied. yes, people do know it's an issue, but it's like, what are you doing about it? Like, what new studies are we doing? What new research are we doing? Who are we? Like, women are rarely even involved in their own research, like in the research that concerns them, you know? I would want to continue that. I would want to, if I can, I would love to spearhead that particular topic or, you know, issue and just like help people. Because again, we don't even have cures or, I mean, yeah, we have medicine for it, but it's like, can we just have a particular solution for a particular illness, like endometriosis, for example? We don't really have a cure for that, except maybe surgery. And then it's like, on another extent, that is when a lady is like on her knees dying, that she gets the surgery, you know? But like, how do we prevent this? How do we prevent it from, because we also found out now that pads have chemicals that can lead to the issues that we are facing. It's like, what are we doing? Like, how can we create better products, safer products, pads and tampons, or just all of, there's so many angles to cover this issue from, and I would love to carry it forward. My first thought was, I plan to be that stubborn person who is knocking on the Ministry of Health, Ministry of whatever, because we need answers. And I feel like also I want to go into investigative health, because I feel like it's investigative journalism itself is like it's not as intense in Namibia, maybe for the right reasons, maybe for the wrong reasons, but you see other countries releasing incredible journalistic pieces and we aren't doing as much. Is it because we don't have anything to investigate? Because I don't believe that. I feel like we do have stories that need to be uncovered. Do we have people who are brave enough to go there? Because again, we know what happens to journalists who uncover the wrong thing and then their lives are threatened, their lives are ended, you know? But I just really believe, I feel like if you really believe in your mission, there's nothing that should stop you. And so I want to be that person, that stubborn person who is knocking on every door that I can. And in terms of impact in the community, everyone says this, but I just want to be able to tell their stories. I want them to tell their stories, rather. So giving them the space, giving them the platform for them to share their stories. And not even just people in Windhoek, but let's go out to the villages in the far south, in the far east, people who have not even been reached yet. Let's see what they are up to, what are they challenging with, what are they challenged with, and let's just like get everyone's voices on board, because again, we don't know how to change things if we don't know what is wrong in the first place. So the way I see AI, I feel like AI is here to stay, and you might as well get with the program, or otherwise you'll be left behind. AI is like, I mean, even on WhatsApp, they have implemented an AI thing. So it's everywhere, you know? So I feel like it's a matter of you learning how to use it to help you and your work, you know? Because especially for us in school, we are using Claude and ChatGPT to help, because it's like, we're not using it to do the work for us, but we're using it to brainstorm, to refine, to give us sources for this thing, you know? And so I feel like an ethical use of AI is knowing the difference between AI assisted and AI generated. Because again, it's people lose trust. I feel the only thing that you have in this world is your people's trust in you. And once it's gone, it's like they no longer look at you the same way. And so when they see that you are not exactly doing your work yourself, especially in an academic capacity or even in a work capacity, if your boss sees that this report that you wrote is AI generated, it's like he can't trust you at all with anything else after that. And so for me, ethics is between how you use it and how it works for you. And then in terms of journalism and how everyone these days, everyone with a phone is a journalist apparently. And I just feel like as a professional, those who are trained, I feel like if they keep sticking to their guns, if they do the thing themselves, if they work, obviously you work with either you're a freelancer or with an organization, but if you work with the ethics that we are taught, in our code of ethics, if you apply that through everything that you do, I feel like eventually you will stand out from a Tom and Jerry who is on TikTok posting things every day, you know? And so I feel like it comes back to, are you trustworthy? Is your work, like the work that you report on, do you have facts to back up your cause, your claims? And yeah. Okay, so I would describe myself as a person who is very ambitious and very curious. And so I want to try everything. And this year, I was like, I want to be a lecturer. I want to do my master's and be a part-time lecturer at NAST. And then I'm also like, oh, but I also want to go into diplomacy because I just see there's so much going on in the world. And we just want to help. And then when you see investigative journalists and photographers in Gaza, and you're just like, I want to be like that. I want to help in those things. I want to be investigative there. And it's just like, I just want to be everywhere. I don't want to limit myself because I feel like I have a short life. And at the end, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be like, oh, I did everything that I could think of. And so in the next 5 years, in the short period of time, I want to focus on maybe getting my next degree. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do it in, my master's or my PhD, if 5 years is enough for that. And then I really want to be a lecturer, even if it's just for a few years. I want to be a lecturer because I also just love teaching. I love helping people. I love teaching them. I love, I don't really have a mentor, but I love mentoring people. And yeah, and then I also want to go into marketing because it's another love that has opened up. I just love marketing so much. I want to go into that as well. And then I want to have a radio segment because I talk a lot. So I want to have my own radio show. So yeah, I just hope that I have time to both be a lecturer, marketing specialist, radio host, maybe even an MC or, public speaker, hosting events, so I want to do everything. So yeah. My advice to someone who feels like studying abroad is unattainable, I would say reach out. Reach out to people, reach out to me, for example, because again, my DMs are always overflowing on TikTok because that's my main social media, right? People are always asking, how do I apply? How do I pay for my application? It says pending, what documents are missing. Believe it or not, I've had some people who send me their login links and ask me to log onto their portal for them and see if everything is okay. And I'm just like, how are you trusting me to have your information? Because I could simply delete your application, But again, it comes from a place of people are desperate and they're seeking for help and they need help, And so please reach out to people who have been where you see yourself going to. Reach out to them, see how they did it, see if they can help you. If they can't help you, go to the next person. I didn't have any help when I was applying for my honors. And that's because I didn't look for help necessarily, but also because I didn't know anyone who was at Stellenbosch, And so, yeah, but if you are sitting there and you are like, you also want to go to that school, if you can't do it yourself, if you try on the website and you feel like it's hard for you, because it is a tricky website, I will disclose that. It's a tricky website. So if you are having trouble with it, you can connect with me on social media or wherever you find me, because my name is the same across all platforms. And so I'm willing to help, I'm willing to assist. People are out there, other people who have been, again, people who are where you want to be. People are willing to help. It's a matter of, are you willing to be vulnerable enough to ask and having to face that, okay, they're rejecting me, they're not answering me. Yeah, because you can only find out once we have made the step, And you don't want to ever say that you didn't apply to a school because you didn't know how to apply to it. If you don't know, you learn, And the people out there who are willing to show you and work with you through that process. So yeah, don't miss out on your chance to study abroad just because you don't know how to go about it. Or there are also scholarships, bursaries. I got a bursary from the department, And so again, it's a matter of reaching out, emailing, research, It doesn't come easy for everyone, but these things are out there. And it's a matter of who are you working with on this journey. So, yeah. If I could describe my graduation day in a word, it would be, I would put a hyphen between it and then it would be God did. Because I truly cannot say my year was on my own strength. I relied heavily on God. I was praying throughout. I'm that person who probably annoyed God the most. I was always knocking. I was always crying. I was always begging, pleading, making promises with Him, because I'm just like, okay, God, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you, So I just walked hand in hand with God throughout my year. And at the end, yeah, God did His big one. So, yeah. And then my favorite Herero proverb would be, I don't know if it's a proverb or not, but I just love this phrase, konganda konganda, meaning that I'm going to go home. If something is too heavy for me, home is waiting for me with open arms. My parents are home. My family, my family is like that, those people who I never have to be strong with or shy, or I never have to hide anything from them. And so I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home. Even at the village, for example, like I love being there because it unwinds my brain. I can relax my thoughts. I'm more creative coming from the village. And yeah, I love being home. Whether it's home at Windhoek, home at the farm, man, I'm gonna go home. So yeah. And then the last one, which is, what does greater things mean to me? Especially for this chapter of my life, greater things looks like doing things that you can't do on your own. Because again, I love partnering with God with everything that I do. And when I think of greater things, it's like doing things that only God can give me the strength to do. So I don't know what my year looks like. I don't have a picture, but I'm sure that it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to accomplish things that I never would have done in my own strength. I never would have planned these things out. But just because I'm partnering with someone who's so amazing, that we can accomplish anything. And look at last year alone, who I did not think that I would even go and finish the year as much as I did, And it's just because I was like leaning onto something that's stronger than me, something that's holding me and, filling me with so much momentum to go forward. And so for this year, I'm just like, the greater thing for me is, hey, listen, doing what God entrusts me with and gives me the strength to accomplish. So if I were to encourage, because I love encouraging students, if I were to encourage students is to do your best. You don't, because I also get a lot of questions and concerns about how the minimum requirements, what must your grades be for you to study abroad. And I would just encourage every student watching this, or even if you're a parent and you have school kids, I would encourage the students to do their personal best, because there's always, you don't have to go to Stellenbosch. You can go to UJ, Pretoria, UKZN. You can go to any other country. Like, let's look at schools in Kenya, in Ghana, like Nigeria. There are more universities to explore, not just in South Africa. And so do your best and excel where you are. Don't compare yourself to someone else who's smarter than you. If you are strong in accounting or geography, excel where you are, and because that's what I did. I went from microbiology to journalism because I knew I could excel in journalism. So if you're in a field that you are just like, this is not for me, don't be afraid to change courses, because that just might open the rest of your life for you, instead of forcing one thing and feeling stagnant in that thing. And secondly, listen, opportunities are out there. It's just a matter of you uncovering them, discovering them, reaching out for them, believing that you can obtain those things. And because I feel like everything starts with the way that we think, and our outlook or like how we think is how we see life. If you are someone who is, if you see scarcity, then that's all you will find. But if you believe that, hey, listen, I can do more, then you will start to uncover those more opportunities. And so, yeah, I feel like it's a change of mindset and excelling exactly where you are. And if you are where you aren't excelling, maybe let's change a course and let's go to where we actually would thrive. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and share with friends. Share with everyone in your network so that people can be inspired and they can take action and live the rest of their lives. So yeah, thank you for watching.